Welcome back in, everybody, to Sports and Money, Pro Football Plus. We are so privileged to have you on board with us, as always. Austin is back with us tonight, fresh off of a big honeymoon, adventures everywhere. Youssef is back as always. Shane is back as always. We've got a full panel on here tonight. We are so loaded. We've got everything on the board up here. We're doing NFC West tonight. We're doing some MLB, some WNBA. We got your 60 coming up. We have all kinds of things. So hang with us for 30, 35 minutes. We are going to get lit here tonight. Austin, real quick, welcome back, man.
Thank you. Yeah, glad to be back. I had fun while I was gone, but I tuned into all the episodes. I even, popped in to say hi during live on one of them. That was fun too.
No, we love that. Matter of fact, I'm working on some things. It may take me a few months to get it lined up. We're working on having some surprise live things as well. We'll see what we can do on that end. Let's get right to it. NFC West, we're going to predict the records tonight. Again, we're not stuck to it because we've got all the off season, still, a month and a half, 2 months to kind of, get locked in on these teams. This is kind of our early feeling on this. So, Shane, you're batting lead off as usual. Tell us your predictions on these four teams.
So I will have one surprise at the end of this list, just based on what I've said on other podcasts. So I'll go top to bottom in this run. I have the 49ers at 13-4. I mean, the 49ers, unfortunately for them, are the 49ers. They're going to do great during the regular season. When the playoffs come and it gets towards the end, that's where difficult things happen for Shanahan. I think the Rams are going to be 11-6, still competitive, still up there. Defense is a worry just because you had one of the most dominant players in Aaron Donald, and now he's retired. Then comes my surprise. The Cardinals I have at 9-8. The first time on this podcast I have ever said anything nice about the Cardinals. And then I have the Seahawks. I think I like McDonald, but I think they're going to be 6-11. I think they drop down. I worry about their offense. I worry about changing over, and they're in a tough division. I mean, it's hard for them to get any cheap wins in division. So I picked them to come last. And like I said, surprised that I would ever pick the Cardinals above anybody else. So
I actually like the Cardinals pick, even though I didn't do that. I've got them sitting toward the bottom end. But real quick, any particular reason you like them this year versus, say, the last year?
I think if quarterback play shows in the grab that it is at the end of the year, I think they have a chance for a turnaround. If they score and they can keep the gas on a little bit, I think the defense plays well there, and they have a chance to pull some games out that they didn't pull out in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I will say I think people have kind of forgotten about Kyler Murray, and I don't think people should do that. So even though I haven't got them as high as you do, I wouldn't go to sleep on Kyler Murray. All right, Youssef, what's your four, man?
All right. No real surprises here, I don't think. Niners, I got them at 12-5. We'll talk about it a little later on, but I think the O-line is problematic. So I think that they win might be a little bit less than what Shano got. Rams at 10-7. Got some challenges there with some things on the defensive side, but really good team. Seahawks, I got them at 7-10. I hope my co-host ain't listening to this because he's probably apoplectic right now because he's a big Seattle fan. He's up in Washington. You can't see him doing anything wrong no matter who's at quarterback. So I got him at 7-10. I got the Cardinals at 6-11. Now, for me, not because of what Shane said, but just because of where I see them division-wise and just their talent, those two can get flip-flopped throughout even in the offseason. I can change my mind because of how close they are, but they can even be tied. But that's why I got a landing right now, though.
All right, I like it. Austin, welcome back. As I said before, what you got on these four?
I also have the 49ers leading the division. I have them with the same record as Shane, 13-4. And they're a wagon. And then the next three teams, I think, are so close in talent. I've actually got them all separated, within one game of each other. I do have the Rams above 500 at 9-8, and then I have both the Seahawks and the Cardinals finishing at 8-9. I am just like Shane. I'm a notorious Cardinals hater. I predicted that they would have one win last season. I was obviously very wrong about that. But they get Kyler Murray back. They get the best receiver in the draft. They had a very solid draft. They, I think, are in a pretty good position. And other than the 49ers, the division is pretty weak. I'm pretty low on the Rams and the Seahawks. I think, again, this because they're all playing each other is kind of why I have them hovering around 500.
I like all of that. To be honest, and y'all can already see it on the board, I've got the 49ers at 12-5. So I think they're the class of the division until somebody else gets enough talent to show otherwise. So I've got that no different there. Those other three teams, I think this is the toughest division we've done so far, just because these other three I think are so unpredictable. I love Sean McVay and the Rams. I've got them at 9-8, but I just still have questions about the talent on that roster. It's not fully recovered from 2 or 3 years ago and that Super Bowl run. So they still got work to do there on the talent side, even though McVay can develop as good as anybody. I've got the Cardinals at 7-10, but I didn't know what to do with the Cardinals. How much will that defense improve? And I think Kyler Murray is scary when he's focused and healthy. And then I've got the Seahawks at 6-11. I do like the direction the Seahawks are going, but I think they've got their work cut out for them this particular season. But boy, these three teams, y'all mentioned it. Y'all were kind of all over the board with it too. I thought these three teams are tough, and I could see any of these three teams maybe scratching their way into the playoffs on the NFC side. And I could also see any of these three teams having just a really long, kind of ugly season too if things don't go their way. So that's kind of where I was on this division. I did not think it was easy to pick at all. Next, let's switch to GM View, one of our newer segments, and I actually really love this one as well. As always, if you're the GM of the 49ers, what position or position group are you most hoping the coaches can scheme and cover for? Shane.
If I'm John Lynch, I'm asking myself, and I think Yusuf brought this up in his rundown for the 49ers, why did I not get some offensive line help? Trent Williams is a super talent, a great force out there for him, but you have a quarterback that's not the most mobile. You've made big plays dropped in Super Bowls because you can't protect, you can't get the ball loose. Interior offensive line is a big issue for them. And you have weapons that you can put all over the field, but if you can't get the ball to anyone because they're not being protected and you can't run up the middle, you're going to be in trouble. Like I said, I still think they're going to be dominant in theirs. As Austin said, there's just a ton of talent, but offensive line is a big question. And luckily for them, Shanahan and his father before him always did best with being able to plug and play some offensive linemen and make it work.
They've been doing a lot of plug and play there in San Francisco for the past several seasons. I honestly don't know how they do it because the talent there, once you get past Williams, is just in the tank. I mean, it's not good. Yusuf.
All right. I don't know. I mean, getting on the same page today, so I'll try to keep it a little bit briefer then. But the O-line is problematic. Outside of Trent Williams, all-pro left tackle, no sacks last season allowed. I mean, the man was just elite tackling, pass blocking, etc. Aaron Banks at guard. I mean, he's decent at everything, but beyond that, you got Feliciano who should be on our team, so I know what he is. He's serviceable at best. And then you got Brendel at center, and then McKivitz, the star of the Super Bowl, not in a good way. He did some really bad things that probably cost their team the win. More pressures and sacks allowed than any other lineman last year on the 49ers. So not a good situation. So they got to address that. And I'm surprised they won't do that when we got Purdy back there and all the challenges you had there with that and his injuries and stuff. So I don't understand how they just ignored that part, but people have done it before in the past. Just teams that do right now, they're still doing it. They're kind of plugging and playing like you guys mentioned earlier, and they're just skating by, trying to get into the postseason and just rolling the dice. So I guess the Niners think they have that kind of flexibility to do that. So that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and listen, before we get to Austin real quick, I've been banging on the 49ers for a couple of seasons to, hey, get some offensive line upgrades, but they keep winning. And that's the biggest reason you see other teams around the NFL doing this crap too is, oh, we don't need O-line. We don't have to build it. We can just take the shortcut of get a quarterback and some fast receivers, and here we go. The 49ers are good enough to get by with it. Other teams aren't. So I don't like this trend at all. Austin, what's your biggest concern if you're a 49ers GM?
For the sake of parity, I'm going to say the safety position. I can't go all of DBs because I think they're really strong at corner. Charvarius Ward's one of my favorite in the game, and they just drafted, my FSU Seminole, Renardo Green, and I think they're pretty solid at cornerback. But specifically at safety, since Talanoa Ufunga went down with a torn ACL last year, he should be back for the start of the season. He tore his ACL like week 10 or 11, so he should be back early in the season. But is he going to be the same? Is he going to be on a snap count? Lots of questions. Yeah, that's the biggest hole I can find is, if Hufunga's not healthy or not playing up to his caliber, I am worried about them at safety.
No, it's a great point, and I'm going to go line up right there because while I don't like the offensive line after Williams, I haven't for years for the 49ers. I do feel like Shanahan has figured out a way to scheme around a lot of that. I think that's why he keeps ignoring it, him and Lynch. The secondary is my problem here because I think that has cost the 49ers over the past few years. We saw it against the Lions in the NFC title game. We saw it against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's not the only problem that they got, but this secondary, it's not a bad secondary. Listen, I love Charvarius Ward. He's one of the best ones, probably top 10 in the NFL. So I love him. But after that, pretty huge drop off. You're hoping Jair Brown from Penn State, last year's draft, can step up even bigger and take on some big things. So I like that. The safeties, Austin mentioned them again. They're not terrible, but they're not great. So what you wonder is, can this defense be strong enough on the front end to cover for the back end? Can they scheme that up? Wilkes last year tried to back off a lot to help that, whereas D'Amico Ryans the year before was hot footing it, was stopping the run and getting after the quarterback, and he was using that to cover up on the secondary. So I am curious, can the new DC Sorensen, can he get back to what they were 2 years ago where they were really motoring through with D'Amico Ryans there at DC? We'll see. I don't like the offensive line either, man. Some ugly stuff they got sitting on that O-line. Once you get past Trent Williams, who's one of the best to ever do it. Let's move right on here. Move into attack mode. Number 3, using the Rams offense. I just wanted to kind of mix in some Rams stuff tonight. Using the Rams offense, we're going to attack a very good defense. So you can pick which one. It'll either be the 49ers defense, the Cowboys defense, or the Eagles defense. Shane, which one you going after and how are you going to attack them?
I went going after the Eagles defense. We talked about it before, and I think it kind of kicks off of what Austin mentioned with San Francisco. It's not that I think that the Eagles secondary is going to be terrible, but it's young and it's moving people around and it's finding out how they fit and how that defense is going to be played. If I'm the Rams, I have a solid quarterback with rocket arm. I have some wide receivers that are going to run excellent routes. And that's where you start to break safeties up. Puka Nacua, you bring them over to the top. You have Cooper Kupp. And as far as play callers, McVay is one of the top ones in the NFL. He does a great job of being able to decide what he wants to do and the pace he wants to set against whichever defense they come out there. So that's why I thought that would be the best one to attack. Like I said, the Eagles could turn that around. They could have a great defense this year, but it's young secondary. And if I got a strong quarterback, that's always who I'm going against.
100% agree, especially early in the season until we know what the Eagles can and can't do. You go right after them. There's no question about it. Like you said, you got a big arm quarterback. Why not? Yusef?
All right, we're going in the same pace again. I'm going with the Eagles in the secondary. We talked about it last week, I think it was. They grabbed two top corners, arguably, in the draft. There's some holes out there. The aging veterans are declining. You can see that with Bradbury. He's considered to be the third option right now. So, ought to be said there. Blankenship gave up 6 touchdowns in coverage last year, and that's not a good situation. He's projected to start at free safety. And Brown, a rookie guy, started 6 games, and he didn't look great either. Probably why they got Gardner Johnson in there to probably come in and compete for that starting job. So that'll bring some experience and some heart out there in the secondary. But they got some challenges. They gotta expect agent vets to kind of play above their heads and rookies without much experience to come in and hold it down in a pass-happy conference. It's just hard to see it working out well, but they're going to capitalize. Somebody's going to capitalize on those young guys. Throw on them. I mean, most teams that play the Eagles are going to do that. They're going to throw on them as much as possible because the guys are not – they haven't gotten their reps in yet, so they're about to get a lesson. And the Rams is a good offense to kind of give that. I think the Eagles had an average of 307 yards in the air they gave up and about 120 yards on the ground. So they're definitely susceptible in the air. So you see a lot of that. Those secondary guys are going to be working this season, without
Yeah,
question.
there's blood in the water until the
Yeah.
Eagles defense gets this figured out. Teams are covered for sure.
No
Austin.
doubt.
The Eagles are too good against the run for me to want to attack them. If I'm the Rams, I really want Kyren Williams and Blake Corum to touch the ball a lot, especially when you get down towards the red zone. Kyren Williams has a nose for the end zone, and I really want to, let him pound a couple in. So I'm not going to attack the Eagles. I'm going to go with the 49ers. I think they're the easiest to run against. And I'm going to use their weaker back half of the secondary at safety. I'm going to run a lot of play action off that. So run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and then play action. Use Stafford's big arm. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are both dangerous. I don't know how you're going to cover both of them. The 49ers do have really good press corners, but the one thing that McVay does really well is get his guys in motion, get them off the ball where they get open releases. And so you're not going to have to worry about, getting super pressed or anything like that. I think the Rams could actually potentially sneak one out against the 49ers this year. If any of the if the 49ers are going to lose any division games, I would predict it to be the Rams.
Yeah, agreed. And listen, again, it depends on which team you're going after and what you want to try to exploit here. But I like that too, because especially the Rams on offense should be very good. It's the defense I'm mostly worried about with the Rams. Rams on offense should be good if everybody's healthy. I'm actually going to go after the Cowboys defense. For me, it's not because I don't respect them. I just think they're the most predictable. We know what they're going to do. So I'm going to come after the Cowboys. Mainly, I'm going to attack the linebackers. I'm going to start with Cooper Kupp, try to get all kind of mismatches right over the middle, and then I'm going to come with Puka Nacua across the middle, and then run that deep up the seam as well. And then we're going to run the ball right up the middle because the Cowboys are soft up the middle until they prove otherwise. So that's what I'm going to do. And then whenever the Cowboys defense starts to move in, I've got one of the bigger armed quarterbacks in the NFL. Shane already mentioned it. Now I can attack them deep. So that's what I'm going to do if I'm attacking the Cowboys defense. Again, a really good defense there at Dallas, but I do find them to be predictable more so than, say, the 49ers or the Eagles. Let's move on to our next topic here tonight, stock investment. Number 4, we're going to take all your fake money or none of it, however much you want to. We're going to invest any amount you want in any single team in the WNBA. So basically, you pick out one team and the games that they play July 3rd, that's coming up, July 3rd through July 4. However they do in those games, percentage-wise, that's how much money you'll win based off of the stock that you're investing in them. So I won't take any more time than that to explain it, but the scoreboard is going to start doing this a whole lot more as guys start investing in this thing. Shade, which WNBA team you picking and how much money?
I took the risky bet last week. It snapped back at me. They almost pulled it off against the Braves, but I'm going with the Liberty, and I'll take 100 of my what's left. Like I said, I mean, in WA, I think you have top 4 teams. The Liberty sit with inside that. Any of those 4 would have been a solid pick, but I went with the Liberty, seeing with which games they got coming up.
Totally agree. Youssef?
All righty. I am going to go with the low-hanging fruit here. I'm going to pick the Las Vegas Aces. They play the Mystics, the Wings, and the Sparks. Combined record of 12-41. I ain't going to make this difficult. I'm going to stick with it. They play in Indiana tonight. Probably after we get off air, they start. I think they should sweep the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and give you I guess 100 of the money I have left.
All right.
I would do that. I think it's worth it.
I like it. Austin, you still have a lot of points because when you were
Yeah.
here, you were hitting, and then you were out for a couple of weeks. So how do you want to play it, man?
So the question is does the format, does the amount of games you play really matter? Or is it just winning percentage? How is this?
Winning percentage. That's it, man.
So I was hoping I wouldn't be the only one to, I thought so, and I thought I would be the only one to notice this maybe, but the New York Liberty only play one game in this time frame, and it is against the Indiana Fever. So I really like the Liberty to win their one game. I'm really confident they're going to go 100% in this time frame. So yeah, I'll give me 400 on the Liberty.
Oh, look at big spender. Look at this.
Big time. Big time.
Oh.
Shane bet 500 last week, man. But that's another
Wow.
big one right there.
What does that feel like to have so much money?
It's nice. Well, it's nice knowing that I'm gonna have so much more next week. Is really what's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you will.
That's why I picked the Liberty. I completely agree with you, Austin. I saw that I had one game to win. I put the
What and it's
put
the
it on
and
their
it's the
favor.
fever.
Yeah.
Yes. Listen, if this was the playoffs, I'd be putting money on the Aces, all right? But the Aces just to get Chelsea Gray back, and while they're smoking hot, the Liberty have been on fire all regular season. They just have mastered this regular season thing. So I'm putting my money on the Liberty. And then, of course, you guys mentioned that they have one game against the Fever. So there's really not any great discomfiture there. Watch us all be wrong. There's a whole bunch of money.
Anomaly once again.
Number 5, 10-5-1. We're doing a WNBA game. It'll be Thursday, July 4th. So maybe before your fireworks at 8 p.m. The Connecticut Sun at the Minnesota Lynx on Prime Video. Shane, which team you going with and how much you spending on them?
I went 10 and I went on the Lynx, and I really went this just because it's a home game. I think this game is going to play out well. But early in the season, I think the Lynx have an opportunity at home. They can keep it together offensively. But I mean, I think this is an easy matchup both ways. Like, if I wouldn't disagree with anybody on this panel that picks either way.
All right. I like it. I'm interested to see where everybody goes here. Youssef.
All right, drop 10 on the Lynx for me. I mean, they're 9-1 at home. They only had one loss, and that was like a blowout anomaly type of situation against the Aces, who are obviously defending champions. So you got to give them props for that. But yeah, I'm going 10 on the Lynx.
Austin.
Yeah, I'm going 10 on the Lynx. I think they're definitely the favorite in this matchup, considering that Connecticut has gone 5-4 in their last 9. They started super hot, but have cooled off a lot. The Lynx are, playing really well and at home.
All right. I have been incredibly lucky. I have done zero homework in this new contest we've done over the summer, and I've just been getting a lot of hits here. I'm picking the Connecticut Sun here. The Minnesota Lynx head coach last week when they beat, I think, the Liberty. Anyway, it was one of the super teams. She came out and roasted the media after that game. She said, y'all like y'all super teams, don't you? And she just absolutely lit them up. I need to see more from Minnesota. They're the newbies. They're the up-and-comers. So I need to see that they can actually keep doing this. They're hot. They're shooting great. But I'm going to pick the Connecticut Sun here and hope my luck holds out. So that's where my pick's going to be for this WNBA matchup. Number 6 tonight. Game of the week, actually series of the week. It'll be in the MLB. The Giants at the Guardians. The Giants at the Guardians. The Guardians are playing very well right now, at least over the first part of the season. They're first in the AL Central. The Giants a little bit less so. Shane, 3-game series. What you doing?
I picked the Guardians. They've always found a way the last couple of years to be able to find pitchers. Their offense this year is really clicking. Stephen Kwan. It's also within the next 2 weeks, they have a real chance to really change how this team is going to look. They also have the number 1 pick in the draft. So being a power team right now and with the opportunity to pick the number 1 draft pick, I think they're going to ride this wave throughout the All-Star break.
Great point. Didn't know it. Youssef?
All right, I'm going with the Guardians too. What else can I possibly do? You got the Giants 16-24 on the road. I mean, they're basically five out of they won 5 of their last 10. They're not looking great. Pitching has been decent in some spots, but the hitting hasn't been great. So, and the Guardians have been hot in that regard. They're not a power hitting team by any stretch of the imagination, but they are very crafty and they know how to play the base running game, and they major in the minors, if I can just say that. So I'm going with the Guardians, and it should be pretty
Great point. I love it. I haven't told y'all yet. I'll tell y'all in the audience at the same time. Basically, I take one team every week, and we keep that team for the next week in their matchup, whoever they're playing next week. That allows us to focus on one team and not have to do quite so much homework. We can focus on one team for 2 weeks in a row. It saves on our homework. Also, Why the random baseball games? Because a lot of people aren't covering it. This gives us a chance to cover random teams and random series that wouldn't otherwise be getting a whole lot of attention. So we like to hit a lot of the heavy stuff in the NFL when it comes to WNBA or MLB or some of the other stuff. We like to hit the random stuff because, again, a lot of these games and series don't get covered unless it's by your favorite local sports talk radio show. Austin, who you got here?
I would absolutely love to pick the 49 or the Giants. I think it's San Francisco, but their pitching matchups just don't line up well. They're playing the Braves this week, so I'm very familiar with where they're at in their rotation, and they've got kind of their horses going against the Braves, which is good for them. Jorge Soler just hit a home run as I'm speaking, so that's good for the Giants as well. But their pitching doesn't line up well for this series they've got in Cleveland. And Cleveland, as you might have heard my co-host talk about on the podcast that I missed a couple weeks ago, they're so hot right now. They've got two of their better pitchers, Bybee and Logan, are going up against the 49 or the Giants. So I've got to take Cleveland as well.
No, I like it. And this might be a hot take. I don't know, but I actually at the moment have a stronger belief in Cleveland than I do in Baltimore. And I even hate that because Baltimore's got the better minor league system. They seem to have the better everything. But Cleveland just seems to step up in some of these games, whereas Baltimore doesn't. So even though I'm rooting for, I would love nothing better than see Baltimore just win the whole freaking World Series. I would love that. But the moment right now, Cleveland just seems to have that it factor. I'm sorry, Youssef. They ain't won it forever, man.
I'm not co-signing on that. You know who
Come on,
for,
man.
though.
You got to root for these teams that ain't
We're
won
all
it
friends
forever,
and we
man.
together, but don't.
You a Yankees
Can't do
fan?
that.
Come on now. All right, it's time for our final 60 segment. Shane, what you got in store for us?
For my final 60, you don't often see where athletic directors go after former head coaches. And this came out recently with Oklahoma and Texas is finally making it to the SEC, which they've been talking for a while. And the athletic director took a direct shot at Lincoln Riley, coach we had in our entire program that didn't want to go to the SEC, and he's not with us anymore. It's interesting that he took the chance to take a shot on him, especially with USC and Lincoln Riley now being in the Big Ten. I mean, now it's the SEC in the Big Ten and everybody else. So an interesting shot from them. And it's been interesting for coaches, transfers, and moves around. We mentioned college baseball on my last 60. Jim Schwarzenegger going from Texas A&M to Texas. So now he's hit all the big schools in Texas. He's been TCU, Texas, and Texas A&M. So that's mine. Welcome to college athletics.
Listen, old Schwarzenegger, man, that guy. After he blistered, I mean, he shamed the person for asking him that question, and 24 hours later, he's out the door. I don't care for that at all, man.
Well, especially, I mean, there were reports while that was going on that his assistant coaches were already recruiting people to go to Texas. So this had started to leak before this even happened. So,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know how you're playing in the College World Series and you have your assistants looking to try to get people to go to Texas while that's going on. So,
yeah, I get winning, but man, if you're gonna light up somebody like that on air, then I mean, yeah, that's the part I don't like. All right, Youssef, your final 60.
All right, I want to take a page out of Austin's book and give you a movie review.
Ooh.
Now, I probably got all of this saw it already. It came out in January. I'm on a self-imposed ban like I shared a few weeks ago from the grimy, nasty, disgusting movie theater. I ain't doing it no more. Bad Boys was an exception. I was invited to that particular situation. But The Beekeeper, I watched it on Prime Video. I was doing some work on my computer and pulled it up. And my wife watched it. She was like, this is so good. Compares really favorably to all the Statham's movies like The Expendables, Transporter. Even John Wick is a nice comparison. Lead character on a revenge tour, getting to the top of a conspiracy and that caused the death of, in his words, the only person that ever took care of him. So it was really deep. It was really it wasn't over the top like most vigilante movies can be sometimes. It was pretty raw and I guess down to earth, if you can say that, kind of down to earth. The dialogue was rough. All the supporting cast except for Statham, he nailed his, but probably the most believable action movie I've seen in a long time. I've seen quite a few of those things. Not over the top, too much, has some black comedy vibes and some 70s action flick kind of vibes to it. At the end, though, the story flames out. They had a chance to make a sharp turn and do something kind of bold and different, but they kind of petered out at the end and kind of just did I don't know, ran out of gas, it felt like. But other than that, the main story is really, really awesome. It is heartbreaking if you got an elderly person in your life. It'll set you on fire emotionally. I'll tell you that right now. But overall, really good movie. I liked it. I think you will too.
And that's The Beekeeper. Is that in theaters now, or is that?
Oh, it's on Prime Video.
Prime Video. Okay. All right. We'll check it out. You don't see many vigilante movies that aren't over the top. That's a rare.
Oh, this is not that. I'm surprised.
I love it. I too am going to steal from Austin's preview since he's been gone. But Austin, go ahead and do whatever you're going to do for your 60 tonight.
Well, I was just going to say that The Beekeeper is in a writer's strike hit. They came out with a lot of movies that have very, very similar kind of plot points, which was ex-cop, ex-CIA, ex-FBI man. There were like 4 of those that all happened during the writer's strike, and I'm pretty sure it was just people going on ChatGPT and like asking for a movie, and that's just what it was spitting out. So yeah, I think that's funny. If they kind of lined up with a writer's strike, that all these movies with very similar kind of plot points. But I am going to do a quick movie review. We went and saw Inside Out 2, Ben. I hope I'm not stepping on yours there. I don't know.
Nope, that's not it, man.
Good. You should definitely, if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go take the fam to go watch it. It was fantastic. It's got everything you want from the first movie and some. It's kind of a coming of age, a little bit story, talking about getting the anxiety emotion and how that can kind of take over your life. And it's silly and like poignant and touching, and it wraps it all in the sports world. Like the whole thing takes place during like a hockey camp. So it's just a fantastic movie. It already passed like all the box office numbers for the year. It's the most grossing movie of 2024 so far, and rightfully so. It's a great movie, and it's for all ages. It's not like Dune 2, which was also a fantastic movie, but a little more niche with its rating. This one, I think anyone from 5 to 85 will love. It's a great movie.
Haven't seen it yet, but I like the first one. I do love the things that they do with the emotions, where they have all these characters playing all these emotions. I love it. Me and the kids are probably going to stream it here in a couple of weeks whenever we get the chance to do that. So definitely looking forward to that. My 60 tonight is going to be a couple things, but this first, instead of a movie, it's a Netflix documentary. So I watch a lot of documentaries all the time, usually late at night. The whole family's asleep. This one is called The Keepers. This is very serious. This is not, you're casual, hey, let me relax and go to sleep. This is a really, really serious documentary. It's not for everyone, definitely not for your kids to check out at all. But if you like this sort of thing, and again, not everybody does. Some of you say, hey, I got too much serious in my life already. I don't need that. But this is a 6-hour, 7-hour documentary. It's in 6 different parts. It starts with a nun who was murdered in 1969 Baltimore. It leads from there to sexual abuse at a Catholic school. It leads from there to dealing with Baltimore PD and Baltimore County PD. Lots of serious stuff in here. I enjoyed it in terms of actually getting the content out. There's so much historical stuff in here too, because you're reaching all the way back to the late 60s and the early 70s with this. So I enjoyed it as much as you can enjoy something this serious, but this was kind of a hardcore hit thing. There is no real conclusion to it. They never did actually 100% solve this, so no one ever actually was truly punished for the things that were on here. But it was amazing how many people who had something happen to them when they were a teenager or younger were willing to come on camera now that they're 65 and 70 years old and talk about it. So I really, really gave this a B+, A-. They did a pretty good job all the way through with this. They never really got off track with it. I thought they did an excellent job with it. So if you like that kind of thing, and again, I'm not throwing shade on any group that's mentioned here. It's just, hey, this particular instance where they really covered it really well. And I suggest if you like that sort of thing, go check it out. Over on Netflix, it's called The Keepers. Really, really did a good job with that. Final thing for me, Odds on favorite. Me and Robertson do it 10 o'clock on Tuesday nights. You'll see it come out Wednesdays and Thursdays. Tricky Takes. Austin and his crew do that. Youssef, it's actually, they call me Mr. U. You'll see him on the X with a lot of the links, but you'll also see him on YouTube. He's got those things going on. And then my friend Simon Short, he's got the Simon Short and Friends podcast on Apple and Spotify. So please check out all of that. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of NFL stuff. We all like NFL football, so there are huge chunks of NFL football buried in all of these podcasts, but we do other things as well, some of it fun and some of it other sports. Anybody else with anything else before we go? We've enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody. Tell everybody goodbye, and we're out.
Bye, y'all.
Everyone.